Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Giant Conversation. This Topic Talks. Today we've got a lot to talk about. We have, first off, we're going to start off with a little bit of news. We've got a customer that makes some employees' days at McDonald's. We've also talked about this mom who wrote a note to her ex's girlfriend. That's kind of weird. Katie's got some stuff for her corner. Mark is not here, so we don't have a multiverse today. And Michael Keaton talks about Beetlejuice 2. This is Topic Talks. Welcome to Topic Talks, where we talk about the topics you care about and leave out the ones you don't.
We talk about what most news sources don't: media, movies, and the multiverse.
We even invite guests to come talk topics with us.
Come join in on the fun.
Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome to Topic Talks. Today, we've got Katie, as usual, and Justin is joining us again. Hey, Justin.
Hey!
So Justin has been on the show a couple times before. He's actually he's got a podcast of his own that you just launched when?
About a week ago.
About a week ago. You want to tell us a little bit remind us a little bit about what that's about?
Yes, our podcast is the Crit Academy. We are a Dungeons and Dragons based podcast for the new 5th edition rule set. And our goal is to bring new and reusable content to new players as well as veteran players. In addition, give guidance to those that really don't know how to even get into the game to begin with if they want to.
That sounds really cool.
Does.
It sounds like a really cool concept because a lot of people who don't know how to play D&D are kind of like, what do I do? Where do I start?
Right, and that was one of the reasons we came up with the idea. We knew we wanted to do something D&D related, but there's a lot out there that are about, players playing the game and recording their sessions so you can go on their adventures with them. But we really couldn't find anything that was heavy duty on how to play the game.
Right.
Anybody can sit down and plop down and read the book, but that's a lot of content to go through. Yeah. If you just listen to a couple of our podcasts, you can have a really good, thorough understanding of the rules without even really ever touching the rule book.
That sounds really sweet.
It does.
So at least that was our goal. In addition to, once you get past the beginning episodes that are about teaching you how to learn the mechanics, there's a lot of content that's good for new and creative ideas for characters, for increasing the effectiveness of your gameplay, making it more fun, how to engage the players better, and, new magic items that you can bring to the game, new NPC or character concepts, new encounter concepts, all these different things that people have been playing the game for a long time will also find a lot of good information too.
Sounds pretty sweet. So it's kind of like something for beginners and for experienced players as well.
Yes.
Well,
that's actually a really cool concept.
Yes. We put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. Obviously, we're beginners in the podcasting world, but we hope that, as we develop a following, we'll be able to feed off the ideas of the people that are listening and help create some of the content we're running, which is our end game for at least our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, which is our final segment.
Right.
So.
Well, that sounds really cool. I will post a link to Justin's podcast on our Topic Talks Facebook page, so any of you guys that like playing D&D or don't know if you like it and want to give it a try, you can click on his link and he can get you started.
Yes.
So how's everybody been?
Really good. Happy Monday, guys.
Blessed.
There you go.
Very blessed.
I had a busy weekend. My last week my mom was here because I had my graduation, and I had a busy week. So I'm kind of glad that I get to kind of sit today and chill. And I ran and got some new computer monitors. And
you got a golf clap button on there for your graduation? Applause.
I've got an applause button. Let's see if I can find it.
Is that like Lady Gaga applause or just like regular applause?
No, I think I got a regular applause.
That's way less cool.
That one.
Congratulations. You've done it.
Thank you.
You're officially an adult with debt.
With a lot of debt.
Crippling debt, yes.
Actually, it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
So there is that. Well, why don't we get on to our news? So the first one that I want to... it was a story I came across when I was looking for content for the show. And I'm a big fan of people who want to remain anonymous and do, just kind of do random acts of kindness is what I like to call them. And this one I think is pretty cool. It's a customer who goes to the same McDonald's. So apparently what it is there's this man in Fort Worth, Texas, who wanted to remain anonymous. Obviously, the recipients knew who he was, but the media does not.
Yeah.
But what he did is, this was a man that was diagnosed with cancer, and he decided he was going to go to this McDonald's that he goes to all the time and pass out $100 bills to all the McDonald's staff.
Wow. That is touching.
It's very kind.
I think it's really cool. And we actually found out a little bit more about this man. He is the boss of a lady named Lisa DeVella. And she caught the whole thing on tape. And Lisa said, that was her boss. And she was actually quoted saying, you could tell it blessed their day. They didn't come to their work thinking that this was going to happen. And that was the best part about it. So I think this is really cool. I mean, it says that he passed out $3,300 bills.
Wow.
Enough for the staff that was there and the people that weren't there.
It's impressive.
Cool.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, you don't see a lot of people, especially people with money, who would do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in retail right now, and I had a guy the other day that you could tell he had a lot of money. He was dressed very nicely, and his son had like he went to an academy, like he had the jacket on with dressed in a suit, but he walked up and he knew none of the terminology of anything that I did at all. You know what I mean? He walked up and, because I can what's called mount and bore sight guns. So I put scopes on guns and make sure that they're in line with the barrel so that when you point down range, you can at least hit the target.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the sight guy. And he knows how to sight rifles. And I'm like, really? Like you're going to teach your kid
In his defense, I am not wealthy, and that's what I would say.
But, it was funny because he seemed very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But this is how I don't know. It was almost like he was trying to dumb it down for his son.
When I was in college and I was a pizza delivery boy, or man, I guess, whatever. One thing, a strong contrast that I drew, the longer I did it, the bigger the house, the smaller the tip. Not even kidding. There was a gentleman, and he was just the nicest man, and I always would converse with him for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden he started giving me 10s and 20s for tips.
Yeah.
He lives in this little trailer in the middle of the ghetto. But then I would go to these big ritzy places closer to the Grand Blanc area, and I would get maybe $1 or $2.
Yeah.
And I would drive farther, and they'd be ruder. They seemed ruder.
Well, and this guy, like, you could tell he was carrying his ego with him. Like, he was just higher than everybody else, because I told him that I had somebody else doing it, because he walked right up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you've got to go back downstairs to the gun counter and get a work order and, pay for your mount and bore sight and all that kind of stuff. Well, I had him send the paperwork up. I ended up filling it out and charged him and all that. And I got the person in front of them done and then his done. And when he got done, he came back and he just threw his money at me and walked away.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? No, like, conversation, no, gee, how'd you do? Because I get a lot of guys that, be like, oh, I'd rather have you guys do this because I don't know what I'm doing. Or there's some guys that, like, I know how to do this, but I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And they'll sit there and they'll look at what I'm doing and they'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. Or, or they'll sit there and just have a conversation with me or something like that. This dude, no, just threw his money at me and walked away.
Right.
Wow.
When it comes to situations like this where somebody does take the time and the effort to appreciate those around him, because you mentioned that he comes there often.
Yeah.
Which means he likely appreciated either the social interaction or the hospitality of those people. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't. He could have picked any other place to do that for, and he very well may have.
Well, and the woman that is that works for him did also say that it was because of an experience, that there was a young lady at that McDonald's who was a regular there and goes there, have coffee, and she happened to be crying one day, and it broke his heart. So he went over and asked her what was going on, and she said she was going through some tough times.
That is really sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was just something like he saw somebody that was really sad sitting there, so he decided to share it with with the whole restaurant. I mean, he not only did he give them to the people that were working, but he counted out enough for the people that weren't working too.
I think that's amazing because the amount of kindness that goes, and especially because some people will do stuff to get like acknowledgement that they passed out money, but for him to not have his name in the media, that just shows how big that people's hearts can be, if they don't want not like to have credit for whatever they did. And I think that a lot of people are out there, but they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
you're saying, there's a lot of people that do things like that to seek attention.
yeah,
And then
he's
there's
not-
people who do it just to be generous
Right.
right.
and
Like
don't
this
want the
gentleman.
attention.
Right. That's kind of what happened to me yesterday. We were at Starbucks and someone paid for our coffee in front of us, and I thought that was, I've heard of people doing it, and I do it sometimes, but to have that kind of handed back to me, that kind of was like, wow, they didn't know me. We were all in the same line waiting for 15 minutes because it was a packed up Starbucks, but for somebody to pay it back, I think that's really sweet. So I think it just depends on where you're going,
Yeah.
Well, and then one of the things that kind of first introduced me to this concept, it was a few years ago, and there was a gentleman who, because around Christmas time, layaway becomes a huge thing.
Right.
Some stores only bring it out for Christmas time, and there was this gentleman who went around and said, "Listen, I want an account that has a lot of toys, so it's like for kids, but it's like they're struggling to make the payments."
Aw,
And then he paid it off.
wow.
And he did that, didn't leave his name or anything.
So a family just came to pay a bill to get their stuff, and it was
And it was
off.
paid for.
Wow. That's so touching.
And then after somebody did that, it kind of like had like a butterfly effect, because you saw it happening more and more and more.
Like the
and more.
pay it forward method.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of cool. There's a song that I love, and I'm trying to remember what the title of it is, but pretty much what the song is about is it's about this girl who's stuck on the side of the freeway, and it's kind of describes how you can tell that she's not from that part of the area. It's kind of like she's in the country and she's from the city,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got a flat tire, doesn't know how to fix it. Guy is nice enough to stop by, change the tire, and she tries to give him money, says no, just kind of like pass it along. And so then she makes it to a diner where she sees a waitress who's pregnant and looks like she's working very hard. And so then when she leaves $100 tip.
Wow.
And then on the note it has like the course of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just love that concept, because at the end of the song, that waitress was the wife of the guy that had helped her earlier.
That's so cool.
Wow.
And so it kind of became round circle.
Mhm.
And so that's something that like I said, I've always liked this concept, especially when it's in a song, but when it actually happens in real life, it's something completely different. I get
Right.
I get all happy when I hear it in the song, but then I hear that somebody paid off that layaway, or like you said, somebody paid
Yeah.
the person behind them in line, or things like that. And it's kind of cool because drive-throughs, you can say, hey, I want to pay their whatever they're getting, I'm going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a cool concept, because it does show that there are a lot of people out there who care.
Mhm.
And like Justin was saying earlier, it seems like the people that have a lot of money, you can tell because I've known a lot of people who are pretty rich,
Mhm.
and I love the ones that live in kind of modest houses
Yes.
with modest cars, and that way, like, you have money, or like you can tell that they have money, but they don't show it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a book called the Millionaire Neighbor that my wife and I have read, where it talks about that, we all think we understand what wealthy is. We see people in the big ritzy houses and all that, but it turns out like 80% of millionaires are middle income families.
Yeah. Adding on to what you were saying, and what Aaron was saying about how you can definitely tell. I'm a waitress, and so I work at different couple places because but the thing that I've noticed about is like, okay, so I work at Applebee's and I work for this little diner. I get more tips at the diner than at Applebee's, and you would think it would be the other way around, but there's some men who just and women who come in there and who order just like a coney dog and a cup of coffee, and a guy actually paid me in tips more than his bill, because he said that his wife passed away a couple years ago, and so he gets lonely, so he comes to that restaurant for for conversations and to meet people, and I thought that was so touching, you know. I just think, like you said, because I've been around the block and not in the way that you guys are thinking.
I didn't say nothing.
Not the way
I
that
didn't
you
say
guys are
anything.
thinking, but
Nope.
I mean, I've lived with my ex-boyfriend, and his family's pretty poor, and I've also lived with my parents who are kind of in the upper, you know, and you know, so I think that kind of balanced me out to know to be compassionate at times, and as well as to, you know, to save my money, because you don't know when those downfalls are gonna happen.
I agree 100% with
And
you.
another
Yeah.
thing is, I believe in good karma. Like if you see those little ringing bell people, I always drop
The
in
bell ringers?
yeah, I always drop in like $2, $5, because in the
I'll
end,
be up at Kroger here in a couple weeks.
but you like if you give back to them, you know, good karma's gonna come back to you, and when you need that money, they're gonna be there to help you out.
You know what I love? There are so many people. Speaking of the Salvation Army bell
Yeah.
ringers, there's this one lady. Every year she sits at the Walmart, and I look forward for it every year. And she will sit there and sing Christmas carols, and she is in the greatest mood in the world.
Aw.
And I'm like,
Brightens
how are
your
you?
day.
I'm like, how are you in that good of a mood when you're sitting out in the cold, freezing, and half the people just kind of snub their nose and walk away?
Yeah.
You know, because I knew somebody who he wasn't from around here, but he was living here, was trying to find a job, and he ended up actually getting a job as a bell ringer, because sometimes they don't have enough people to volunteer, so they'll pay people.
Mhm.
And he did that, and he loved doing it because there were a lot of really nice people. There were people who would, you know, like bring him hot chocolate or things like that, or, you know, tell him a good way, you know, a good way to make it so his feet didn't hurt at the end of the day. Like he found out from one lady that bring a rug and put it down, and then your feet won't hurt. Like, but he got treated so well. But then there was other times when people just snub their nose at him.
And that's the way it is. Alicia and I. Sorry.
Stop hitting your microphone, dude.
Alicia and I do that often, and last year we did it, and that same thing happened to us. We were out there for several hours, freezing our butts off, and I was singing the Lion King songs or whatever, doing to get my blood pumping, and then near the end of it, some lady had gone to McDonald's and brought us warm beverages, and that I
Wow.
about lost my mind. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that truly do care for others, which means despite everything that's been going on, humanity is not lost.
Yeah.
Well, and then I've also I've reported on a couple other stories throughout the Topic Talks history. One of them that's my favorite is there was a dude that found a ridiculous amount of money. I don't even remember how much it was. It was like a whole inheritance. Somebody got his inheritance in cash because whoever passed away didn't trust banks, so they kept it in cash.
Can't imagine why.
He left it in a cab,
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
and the cab driver found him and gave it back.
Aw.
And there was a couple instances when something like that happened. One instance, they gave the dude like $100.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, it's nice that he gave him something, but it was also kind of like, okay, well, yeah, you found all this like $1 million. Here's $100.
Here's a penny.
Here's
Right,
the-
it's pretty much what it is. And I'm like,
One
really?
little percent.
Like just you know. But the dude didn't even care. He didn't really want anything
Right, and
either.
he wouldn't have done that if that was really what he was after. If he was after a reward or something like that, he wouldn't have bothered taking the effort to
Right.
return it anyway.
But I'm saying the fact that
I
he
don't know
was
that I would have that self-control.
I was
but-
and a lot of people have said that. There was Mark, who's usually on the show. I'm pretty sure it was Mark. It was either Mark or Logan, a couple of guys that have been on the show. One of them said that they don't know if they'd have that much self-control. They're like, that's a lot of money. They're like, I could pay off this and this and this and this.
Yep. And I think a lot of people are probably in that situation. So
Right.
it just goes to show, because everyone can relate, would I be able to have the self-control to do that, making that much more of an impact, because most people will come to the conclusion probably not.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just
I would be.
it's one of those things that you know you start to feel, you know, because I turn on the news. I don't watch the news. I go on the internet for my news, because if I watch the news,
Because
you get
everything on the internet's true.
well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like I'll go to the news websites instead of watching the news, because then I've got to sit through this person got shot, this person robbed this store, this person did this. And then at the end there's a 2-minute little segment about, you know, some little fluff what they call a fluff piece of something that I might actually want to hear. So I've
Right.
got to sit through this whole and then I get depressed. And I'm like, okay, this isn't worth it. I'd rather go, because if you go online, they actually have most of the stuff that they have on the news, they'll have online the day before.
Okay.
And those little fluff pieces that, they'll tell you like 2 sentences of it. You'll go and you can actually read
the article.
the entire article.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I like to keep myself educated on events via other sources than the TV, just because that exact same reason. It's stressful to watch all the. Sorry, I want to be careful. I don't word this. I don't want to make this political view, but to see what's shared versus what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Because I hate. It's true, there is bias in the media where they'll take one segment out of context and then talk about that versus sharing the whole 3-minute clip and explain and putting it all in a form that everyone can understand.
Yeah. Well, and then they've also
it's all negative.
And then they'll talk about stuff for 2 weeks that really doesn't need to be talked about for 2 weeks. One of my favorite jokes is about that. I think it was the first plane that went missing. It was the first plane that went missing, and they're talking about how they only had a little bit of information for about for quite a long time, and there was one specific station. They're like, yeah, they every other news media had kind of moved on, and this one station did this giant special with all these all these experts and stuff telling
bells
you the exact same thing.
Bells and whistles. And by the way, we don't actually know anything else.
Right, pretty much. They had like this giant hologram of a plane and what this looked like and what that looked like. And I'm like, I know all of this. Why am I even... And I turned it off.
Right.
I'm like, why do I even tune into this? But, so that's one of the... And that actually was sort of the concept for the show when it first started, was to bring in stories that kind of brighten your day, would make you feel better, because the media, I don't want to say the media in general, it's mostly TV news stations, because I was gonna say a lot of the radio they'll pick on certain things, but they'll find a story that they like and then they'll talk about
That's why I like the NPR. I think that they've got a lot of good news audio on there.
Right.
That's good stuff, not just all the bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like I work for a radio station, and they'll go through and like on Halloween they talked about the list of top 10 candies or something like that. Just little fun things.
Was candy corn on there?
Candy corn was not on. Actually,
thank God.
No,
I would have lost complete faith in that list if you would have said candy corn was on.
But it was from a different country. So some of the ones that didn't make the list were Snickers, Kit Kat, Milky Way, like none of the top
all the
candy
American
bars.
stuff that makes us, die for chocolate.
Right. None of it was on
Cavities.
there. They had like Starbursts. Those little
Starburst is good.
Do you know what those little like candies are? They come in like
You're gonna have to give a bigger description than that, buddy.
Let me finish. They come in orange and black wrap. It's either an orange wrapper or a black wrapper. They've got like both of them. It's like a wax paper.
Toffee?
It's like a toffee, but it's
Caramel?
I don't know. I've hated it.
I know
as
what
a
he's
kid.
talking about. It's nasty.
Yeah.
Like those nasty peanuts too.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
The nasty-
It's-
I know what you're talking about. It's nasty, and I hate it when I get it.
And that
Pretty
was
sure
on the
I
list.
should have a big fine from the government for the amount of candy I've thrown on the ground throughout my growing middle school career.
That was on the list, and we're like, how is this like an accurate list? So then they came up, but it's things like that I'll actually listen to, because all the other TV, like on TV, all they talk about is this person shot this person, so it's fun to talk about candy bars or to listen to people arguing about
Or
candy
lack
bars.
thereof candy bars.
Right. Or lack thereof candy bars. But they'll also talk about, things like this, where it's, somebody gave, McDonald's $100 bill, the workers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool hearing about this stuff. And I actually found the song that I was referring to earlier. It's called The Chain of Love. And the chorus is, let me see if I can find it. Don't let the chain of love end with you.
I love you too, Aaron.
Thank you.
Oh.
No, but it's a really cool song, and if you actually look up the lyrics, it talks about how the guy that was driving up, he was driving up in a beat up Pontiac, and then this girl's driving a Mercedes. So it's just like I said, if you want to listen to this song, it's called The Chain of Love. It's by Clay Walker. It's one of my favorites, just because it I can listen to
Is
it.
that a country song?
It is.
Okay.
It kind of restores my faith in humanity, just like stories like this do. So I thought it was cool. It was a cool story to share, and
See, not all country songs are about tractors.
I'd never said some of them are about girls. They could be about the South. They could be there's a plethora of things that they could be about. Parties. They're about parties.
Honka talks.
And burr.
I'm burr.
A lot of burr.
Brewskis.
Okay. So why don't we move on?
Oh, I love this next story. Sorry.
So the next story is about a letter that this mom wrote to her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend.
This was really cool.
This is really
That's
cool.
really cool.
So what it was is there's this girl named Audrey, and her and her now ex-boyfriend had their daughter Riley, and then they broke up, and he is now dating a girl named Whitney. Now, a lot of people are starting to cringe and go, "Uh-oh, what did this mom write?"
I mean, what normally would you expect?
I would expect that she like chewed her out or something.
Yeah,
because she was hanging out with her daughter. The new girlfriend was hanging out with the old girlfriend's daughter.
And that's the traditional line that most people hear in the issues, jealousy or what have you. You know, I'm the only mom, you know, FU type stuff.
Now, here's the twist. So the twist is that Audrey wanted to take the high road. She admitted that she was a little bit crazy when she found out that the new girl, her name is Whitney, had been hanging out with her daughter. And she was quoted, I'd write a whole list for Whitney, things like don't leave her in the bathroom. So as outrageous as that kind of sounds, but you know, it's something that only people who have experienced it can explain.
Yeah.
And a little funny story is my girlfriend has, when I first met her, she has a Yorkie, and she still has him. His name's Aiden, and it is like her child. Just like all of our dogs are, but this was, you know, before we had any other animals. That, you know, we just had Aiden, and we were on our way to her parents, but she had bought me tickets for Gabriel Iglesias. So, but we couldn't take Aiden with us, and it was at the point, it was like a halfway point between here and her parents' house. So she went on this website where they have a lot of like, it's kind of like a people who will take in dogs, kind of like dog sit dogs. And they get paid for it, like you pay the website and they'll pay the people or something like that.
Huh.
It's kind of like a Craigslist for dog sitters.
That's cool.
But it's kind of cool because it's usually other people that have dogs.
Yeah.
So we took him there, and she was freaking out once we got there about how, because he's very skittish.
And you don't know these people.
And we don't know these people. About, you know, how it was going to be, and, you know, so the whole night, so we dropped him off. The people we dropped him off with were very nice. They had two bigger dogs, and Aiden was terrified the whole time, but still, we actually found out that, you know, he did have a pretty good time. He sat up on the couch with them and watched movies, and, you know, he was a little bit scared, but he kind of got used to it in the end. And right after we dropped him off, we went out for food, and she's all worrying about it, and they would text her pictures about how he was doing.
Aww.
And she kept freaking out. Once she got him back, you know, she's like, okay, that wasn't that bad. Well, now, you know, we'll drop her, you know, we'll do something like that, and she won't be nearly as worried as she used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually dog sitting for a friend of ours. Her dad had her dog for a while because she can't have him in the dorms, or have her in the dorms. And so, but her dad's like, don't bring her back, you know, because she's a puppy. She's chewing up stuff, and he got mad because she chewed up the wrong thing that he left out on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Been there.
And, you know, I mean, I've been mad. I've got a torn up Zach Brown Band shirt in my closet that, you know, the puppy tore up. I was mad when he did it, but I was the one that left it on the floor.
Right.
You know, it's just how it is. When you got a puppy, he tears up stuff. And last night she was freaking out. She was debating. We're like, well, you can stay the night with her if you want to. You know, we've got the space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up deciding, you know, that he'd be fine with us and whatever. But she kept freaking out the whole night, and so we texted her a picture. And her puppy was passed out in the kennel because we put the kennel in our room, and this dog was passed out. It just like laying legs straight out, and I sent her that picture, and I think it kind of put her mind at ease.
Right.
But she's like, I don't know why I'm acting like this, and April's like, I know exactly why you're acting like this, you know, because she had experienced it before.
Yeah. Aw.
Anyway.
So that's kind of like an Airbnb for dogs. That's awesome.
Well,
That is awesome.
but it's a whole bunch of different people. It's kind of like a network of people who just want to watch dogs,
Wow.
That is really
which is
sweet.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't really had a need for it since,
Mhm.
but if we had to, we would use it again.
Yeah.
Because it was a great experience.
Um,
Anyway,
Back to Whitney and.
back to Whitney and Audrey. So, but it turns out Whitney was actually really good with her daughter. She said that Whitney would send Audrey pictures, like picture updates, kind of like those people did with my girlfriend's dog. Send her picture updates. One night she sent Audrey felt compelled to send her a text saying, I am extremely thankful for you. Which that was really awesome, but Audrey felt like she had to do more. So she went one step further and posted this on Facebook. She said she posted a picture and she said, "This is my daughter's father's girlfriend." That's a tongue twister. Anyway, the sweetest thing ever. I'm super thankful for her because when she visits her dad, she feeds her, takes care of her, buys her gifts, basically takes care of her like her own. Why do these moms act so spiteful and jealous towards other women? No one said it was easy trying to be a mother to a kid you don't have. So when there is someone trying, don't push them away because they don't need the drama. They will leave, and then you're stuck with someone who is the evil stepmom. Yes, they exist. I see them everywhere. A kid can have two moms because, in my eyes, the more people that love her, I'm happy.
Aw.
I would never make her feel like an outsider. I'm extremely thankful for this girl. Ladies, grow up and focus on being a good mom. Love more, hate less.
I think that's really inspiring, to be honest, because you see, like, a lot of people nowadays, like, all of our age, all have kids, and some of them are not with the baby's fathers, and then you see, like, drama on Facebook, like, oh, my baby's daddy's father, blah, 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 but it kind of
Hanging
pains
around
my...
that tramp.
Right?
Right.
But it kind of, like, pains my heart, because in the end, if you get past all the drama, that woman who might be with your ex-boyfriend, who you may hate, but in the end, like she said that she's taking care of her, treating her like their own, and I think that that's what people need to get, like, push past the drama and just realize, is my kid safe? Does my child have what they need? As long as they have shelter and food and someone who loves them, and she may not always be around her daughter as much, but at least she knows that she's in good hands.
Yeah.
That's
And
deep.
I mean, as someone whose parents went through a divorce, and it was a nasty child custody portion. And it was funny because my stepdad and I get along great.
Mhm.
And my dad was always mad, like, oh, he's not your dad and whatever. Well, he may not actually be my dad, but he's somebody who I respect enough.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where, yeah, he did play a little bit of a father figure, because I lived at my grandma's where I was spoiled. And then I went to my mom's where I had, I had to do the dishes. I had to do the laundry. There was a whole bunch. I have, let's see, at the time I think I was living with 3 sisters. I have 4 altogether. One was already off, wasn't living with us. She was living in her own house. And then so I was living with 3 for a little while. That one graduated and got her own place. So I was living with 2 sisters and a brother.
Mhm.
And so we would all rotate through what we would do. And I didn't want to do the laundry. I didn't want to, do the dishes. I didn't. And my stepdad said, "You are a member of this family. You are going to do the dishes. You're going to do, And as much as I would fight it, it's actually kind of come in handy because a lot of people go, "Oh, you don't know how to do the laundry." Well, I do. I don't like to do it. So, if there's somebody else who likes to do it, go for it. But I know how to do the laundry.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and then there's the other case where I'm like, well, I don't know how to use this machine yet. Because every washing machine is different. It's not like a bike. You can hop on any bike and know how to operate it. You really can't hop on every washing machine and know how to use it. So
I wouldn't know. I use my hands, so that's my washing machine, the good old fashioned way. I think the other side of this is, we get so caught up in the the mother-father figure. You know, I grew up with my dad kind of absent out of the thing for most of my life
Right.
till my mom got married to my stepdad. I actually took my stepdad's last name because he had such an impact on the man that I've become.
Right.
And what people get so caught up in that you got to have a mom and a dad, they forget there's some places in the world where communities raise children
Yeah.
because you can always learn from somebody. And when you've got, in this case, multiple moms, there might be a skill set that this child will learn from that lady that she wouldn't learn from Whitney. Her name's Whitney, right? Would be able to learn from Whitney that she probably couldn't, maybe not learn from Audrey. And so there's a lot of advantages that come to having multiple people in your life who want to help raise you and teach you, you know, how to be a woman or how to grow to be a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so worried that, you know, with anger and hate on people that it puts those kids in uncomfortable positions.
Yeah.
And there's really no real harm to it. There's no reason to.
Well,
Unless they're trying to take over the whole position to begin with, which
Yeah.
does happen.
I was going to say, okay, so my grandma raised me, so did my mom and my stepdad. But I also had the church that actually Justin's a member of, because there were a lot of members, and one of the things that I actually learned at church was, before anything else, how to give a good handshake.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, it was funny because I just graduated, and one of the things that they taught me in the one of the last classes I have is what was a good handshake. And I'm like, this is a thing? Like, I didn't know that people weren't taught how to give a good, because that was something that I've learned since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things where I walked into church every morning, I gave a good handshake because that's how I was taught.
Right. And
You know, a firm handshake, not sweaty, not limp, you know, it's a nice firm handshake is what, you know, is.
You know, in some job interviews, that'll make or break the interview.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what they were saying, and I'm like, I didn't know that, you know, how to shake hands was even a problem. But then my teacher was like, you know, there are people who are not taught certain things because maybe their parents don't know,
Yeah.
or their parents know but don't really know to tell them,
Yeah.
or things like that. But that was something that I learned at church, and there's been a lot of other things that I've learned. And actually, there's been a lot of life lessons because the pastor that Justin and I have, I really like it because he'll relate it to what's going on now.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he's very good at
And so it kind of brings in a life lesson, and that's what I really love. And so, like, I've had that community, and then I've had my Boy Scout community, and, you know, everything that I've been a part of, that's kind of helped make me who I am. So, I
Yeah.
mean, my grandma loves the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it
She ain't
kind of
wrong.
does.
Yeah.
that. She ain't wrong.
You know, I've had a huge village behind me, and I'm glad I've had it, and now I'm trying to contribute back to all the different places that have made me who I am, so that there's, you know, because there may be a kid in the congregation at my church or a scout in the troop that I'm a part of, you know, that could be, I could be helping them
Yeah.
the same way somebody helped
I
me.
think that's why mentor programs are so important.
Yes.
They are.
Because not only can your parents teach you a lot, but you can learn a lot from having other mentors in your life, whether it's a school teacher, whether it's a community member, whether it's a church member. You know, all these different things will impact the person you will become and also the skill sets that you can have access to.
Right.
Yeah. What you guys are saying, it is like, I don't know, through my childhood, you know, I had my neighbor who is like my second mom, as well as, you know, my ex-boyfriends, a couple of their moms has taught me a lot. And you know, my mom's a great woman as well, but you know, I swear by them. Like, I honestly probably wouldn't have half my manners, and yes, I know my mom is one big part of it, but other manners, like to not be greedy about my money, to help others out, even if, you know, if they're on the street and I see them there every single day, I mean, I'll still give them a couple dollars, you know, even if I know that it's probably going towards drugs, you know, but it's just like maybe my kind heart, you know, and I couldn't take full responsibility to that. I feel like a lot of it was taught by other different women as well as different men that have come into my life as well. And so I think that I think Whitney and Audrey, I think that for them to have that bond of what they do have to raise their daughter and not have such, you know, anger toward each other like most, you know, babies' moms
Right,
and
well,
like
it brings unnecessary
right.
anger into the fold
Right.
to begin with, and then
Drama.
they start talking about each other negatively, and the child hears that
Yeah,
stuff.
and then
Yeah.
they're gonna go on and then tell the other person, and then it just
Keep
and
cycling.
when you should just bring happiness, because a child when they're children, and so like that's the most important time of their life, when you
Yeah.
don't have to work and you don't have to worry about bills and just be
What
a
I wouldn't give
child.
to go back to that. I wanted to touch on you talked about the giving homeless money,
Yeah.
and my wife actually found this thing on the internet, and we actually did it. I call them hobo packs,
Mhm.
but she says that's probably not a nice name. But what she did is she got these big giant Ziplocs and started tossing things into them.
Oh,
So instead of
wow.
giving them money, we've got these things that got soap and toothpaste and toothbrushes and a bottle of water, things that don't go bad
Right.
to give those
Wow.
people. So
That I should start
See,
doing that.
And it's funny because my
a hobo
girlfriend
pack.
my grandma or my girlfriend worked for this lady. It was actually her aunt's best friend. We're great friends, or they were great friends, and my girlfriend worked there for a while. Well, this lady would give people on the street $20. And April's like, "Why are you doing that? They're probably going to go and spend it on drugs." And she's like, "Well, this is how I see it. If they're going to go spend it on drugs, they can either go spend it on drugs and kill themselves and they're off the street, or they can put the money to use, get off the street that way. Either way, they're getting off the street."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of cynical look at it, but it is true. I mean, if they're going to spend it on drugs, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Right.
They're gonna get it.
You
some
know,
way
they're,
or
they're,
other,
they're,
yeah.
someone else is going to give them money and they're going to get it anyway.
Well,
So if
and
you
I
give them the
think-
money and they get the drugs, they're getting...
Well, and I think Alicia's other point too is that there's some people out there that are just panhandling looking for cash. She's like, well, they're not gonna be too happy if they get a thing full of $20 worth of useful stuff versus just the $20 in cash. So
Right.
My pastor gives out gift cards to McDonald's.
that's awesome.
He just has gift cards and gives them to people. He says 9 times out of 10 people won't take the gift cards.
because those are panhandlers usually.
Right. Yeah.
See, and it's funny because I have a friend, his dad will go up we'll go up to one and he says, "I'm not going to give you money, but I will go over to if you go over to that McDonald's, I will buy you whatever you want off the menu, but I will not give you money."
Mm.
And he's like, sometimes, and there was actually one guy that said, "No," he's like, "I want money, blah, 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 whatever."
Mm.
And he's like, I will buy you a full meal. And the guy turned it down. But
Mm.
I think he said there was one other guy that he actually took over and bought him a meal or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a good way to weed them out too, is, because unfortunately you do have those people who are like, "Oh, let's go make money today." They put on raggedy clothes and
Right. And that's a shame. As somebody that's not been quite that bad, but been homeless, I'll tell you what, it's not always their fault. And I think that's why I'm so proud of my wife for doing stuff like that, is because
Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I know what it's like to
Yeah.
have to not have your own home, and
Mhm.
definitely wasn't my fault, and so I think it's important. I kind of deviate from this back to our earlier point that it's important that we've got people out there that are willing to help those people.
Mhm.
So sorry,
Well,
digressing from.
And I worked for a
Katie's
car
Corner.
service for a while. And there was one gentleman that I still remember to this day. I picked him up and he was talking about how, because where I picked him up was kind of an awkward spot. It wasn't like a bad area. It was just like a weird spot to pick somebody up because they usually pick them up from their home or whatever. And he said, "Well, don't say anything, but I live in my brother's backyard. Or no, I live in an old tent in the woods somewhere."
Mhm.
And he was all excited because he said his brother was going to buy him a new tent, and he was going to stay in the kind of the woodsy area of his brother's backyard, in this nice big brand new tent with new stuff. And I mean, yeah, I did think about, well, if the brother has the money, why doesn't he let him
Yeah.
stay? But I mean, there could be. I didn't ask that.
There might be other reasons for
Right.
it.
But I thought he was so excited to get this new tent and to be able to stay in it, and I'm like, and then I'm sitting here and, at the time I didn't have this nice big grandiose studio, but I mean, even now I'm sitting here and
I
this
think
nice,
grandiose is kind of
come on, it's pretty sweet.
elaborate. It's sweet, but grandiose isn't
Okay.
definitely the adjective I would use.
Anyway, but I mean, I've got a lot, all this equipment. I'm sitting in a nice chair, I've
Mhm.
got a house, and, even then I was living at my grandma's. I was fortunate to have somewhere to go.
Yep.
And then there's this guy who's happy because he's getting a new
There's
tent.
Yep.
And it just kind of made me, you know. But then at that point, I was getting paid for it, but I was trying to help these people, you know, get back and forth from their
Mhm.
jobs or their appointments and things like that. So
I know we kind of got off the topic
Yeah,
about
we
like
did.
being homeless and everything, but you know, I've been to the point where I've been like on food stamps going to, you know, uh, like what is it
A
called?
soup kitchen? Or
But
food
where
pantry?
food pantry. And honestly, I'm so thankful. So I try to donate money when I can now because I'm actually on my feet. But you know, I guess like growing up how I did and stuff, you don't ever really think about it. And I've met so many great people who have gone to food pantries as well. But now that I think back of it, it makes me kind of sad because I never thought, and I'm not that even that old, but I mean, I never thought in my life I would get to that point. And but I mean, not that I was ashamed, but I was just like, why? How did I get
How'd
to
you
this
get
point?
here?
Right,
Been there.
and going to soup kitchens and stuff. But now that I'm actually, you know, to the point where I can actually help other people out, that's why I try to help people who are on the street and everything because I've been there. And I'm sure everybody else has pretty much been there, but to know now where I am at now, it makes me appreciate what I have now than being greedy and being like, oh, I want the
I
new
agree.
iPhone 7, I want blah blah blah. Like my parents help me out sometimes, and I'm so thankful because where I was 2 years ago, you know, it just touches me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're thankful there's people out there. And you asked me how I was doing today, and I wasn't joking when I said blessed.
yeah,
Because I've been worse, and I know there's people that have it way worse than me. So I'm
Mhm.
thankful for every God-given day. So
I was gonna say, like I said, I'm sitting in a house that my grandma helped us buy or pretty much bought for us, and we're paying her back, and you know, and I do take a step back and go, you know, I really do have a lot of support, and I have a really, you know, my grandma's awesome. You know, I have a lot of really good people in my corner, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't know how, you know, how good you've got it. Well, I do. You know,
Right.
I sit here and I look for stories of, you know, things like this, and I realize how good I have it. You know, I have a
right.
great grandma who can, you know, like I said, bought me a house so that I could move out and, you know, try to get a start on my own, and I've got you know,
You ever
Red-
think she was just trying to get rid of you?
there is that. She was trying to get rid of me. But I mean, the fact that she would, you know, she could have just kicked me out.
Mhm.
She could have done that if she really, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I do sit here and, you know, I am very thankful for what I have and who's in my life because, you know, I could be homeless right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never been at that point,
And
I'm
hopefully
gonna.
you'll never have to be.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'm hoping I never have to be, but right now I'm very thankful for what I have because, you know,
Yeah.
I couldn't have it.
Right.
All right. So Audrey and
Whitney.
Whitney, Audrey's got it right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and everyone
Totally wholehearted.
everyone needs to follow in line with
Well,
that.
well, and in the picture, her like it was it showed Whitney and Audrey's daughter, and at the top of the article it had Audrey and her daughter, and so it was the same little girl but two different moms, and you could
Right.
see she was very happy with both people,
Right.
and there's something to be said for that.
I agree.
Mm.
So
All right, guys. Now that we're talking about being thankful,
are you
Is that
thankful
okay?
you have your corner?
yes, I am. Woo! Katie's Corner. All right. Happy Monday, as I said. All right. So there's a teacher that pulled a mic from an autistic boy at a Thanksgiving show on Tuesday. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that kind of pains my heart a little bit more. Well, not a little bit. Pains my heart a lot, actually.
Mine sank when I watched that video.
Yeah. It
yeah.
actually made me cry. That sounds crazy, but it did, you know, because autistic children are like the sunshines, I feel like. I mean, yeah, they don't always talk a lot because they're really hard to, like, you know, see past a certain point, I guess, and that may be a little wrong. But when they do have something to say, you know, I don't know, it just pains my heart a lot that a teacher would have the audacity to go up there and pull that mic from that little
I
kid.
was gonna say, and if you watch the video, and I'll post the link is listed below, in the description, but I'll also put it on our Topic Talks Facebook page. Man, I should write down what I keep saying I should put on our page, and then because sometimes I forget.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, so back to what I was saying is, when you actually watch the video, it had a line of, there was like 3 kids. And, they said, I'm thankful for this. And then I think it was a girl that started off, she walked off stage, and a boy, I'm thankful for this. And then he walked away, and this little boy walked up, dressed up like a turkey. And then it was almost like the teacher rushed up there and grabbed the mic.
She definitely rushed up there.
She rushed up there and whipped the mic out of the mic stand and started putting it away. And I'm like, okay, there's really no way to defend that.
Right. And
like, he was obviously up there for a reason.
He was excited.
He was
so
excited for it, and then the look on his face when that teacher grabbed that microphone out of the stand, and like, there's no defending it, because you could tell she was on, like, she was rushing to get the microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can hear the disgust in the crowd through the audio too. People are like, "What is she doing?"
Well, and then it was this kid's mom who was recording it and posted the video, and it's like, why? Why not just let it? Because all he wanted to say was gobble gobble.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Right.
Make everybody laugh. Move on with your life.
Right. I mean, it just pains my heart. But anyway, this little boy, Caleb, was 6 years old in West Virginia, was brought to tears at school when the teacher pulled away the microphone. He was about to speak while the stage. During Thanksgiving play on Tuesday, children in costumes approached the mic one by one, thanked the audience, and wished them a happy Thanksgiving. When it came time for Caleb to speak, a woman is seen yanking the mic from the stand. I left in tears because one teacher, Miss Lindsay, I think her name is, grabbed the microphone from Caleb in a mean way. My son is a little different, I know this, but his heart is so big and and he loves everyone. What does it matter if he just wanted to say gobble gobble? He was the turkey after all. I'm so sick of the kids that are not considered normal to be treated the way they are. Alright guys, pause this. What is the definition to you guys of normal? Because honestly, in my book, nobody is normal.
My grandma says normal is a setting on a washing machine.
Right? Like,
normal, in my opinion, is the acceptable trend. Since I ride on the fringe of that, I don't have any normal in my life. But I think that normal, quote unquote, is what people consider the standard of
normal
life. Sounds
boring.
It is. That's why I prefer to live on the fringe, the fringe, the eccentric, a little bit nutty sometimes, like the professor.
Sometimes.
But I don't think, all the time, whatever. I don't think that just because, and I don't know, I read the article and there wasn't much more in it other than a few comments from the superintendent, but I feel like that if that teacher really didn't mean to do what she did, she would have came forward and said something.
Right at the end or something.
And apologized to the group, but she didn't do that, so I'm kind of sad 'cause I don't understand the motives behind it. I'd like to think it's not as simple as, oh, he's autistic, I gotta pull the plug on this before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And
I was going to say that there's a lot that we don't know. What we do know is if you watch the video, like I said, it looks like she hustled up to that stage to grab that microphone, knowing he was going to go, knowing he was going to say something.
Right.
And that is enough from the evidence that I have so far, is enough to say that, she was intentionally not letting that student say anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the reasoning behind it, I can't say because, I don't know. And for all we know, they could have had an instance in past plays where he said something he wasn't supposed to.
Right.
Very possible. But see, once again, and that's I was trying to kind of be on her, play devil's advocate for a second, but once again, if that was something that was a trend, why wouldn't it have brought up post incident? Why didn't you say, well, she did it because she was concerned that because in the past he's blurted out swear words or something like that, but there was none of that. So as far as I can tell, it's a 100% malicious thing.
Right.
That she just didn't want him having the mic.
Right.
So.
And it's very sad. I know a lot of kids. There's actually one that Katie and I graduated. I don't want to name any names.
I know who
but
you're
this
talking
kid was very smart. He would read the dictionary
about.
cover to cover and you could ask him about a word, and he could recite the the definition of that word verbatim.
Right.
Yeah, word by
And
word.
and I mean, I could even ask him 2 years later, hey, what does this word mean? And he would remember.
Right. There's
Like the memory he had. Now his social skills, on the other hand, were a little bit, I don't want to say lacking, but he just didn't understand how to get along with
Other people.
like what was acceptable, what wasn't, what
Mhm.
was. But it was funny because in my school everybody accepted him.
right.
Everybody knew who he was, everybody accepted him, thought he was cool, said hi. And that was something that I really liked. Nobody made fun of him. Nobody that at least that I know
that
of.
you could tell, yeah.
Nobody made fun of him. Nobody, picked on him, teased on anything like that. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody, said hi when they walked by. He was always very happy and very cheerful.
Yeah.
And people did help him out as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of studies out there that suggest that some of those degrees of autism aren't problems, but are the brain is wired in different ways to be optimized for something else,
Right.
which would kind of accounts for the whole dictionary story you just told.
Right.
I think the most popular story is the story of the Rain Man guy, right? He was very, very. He had severe, like, I don't remember if it's autism specifically, but he had photographic memory. And there's a lot of studies being done on that where is it actually a problem?
No.
Or are we perceiving it because it's different, quote unquote, normal compared to what we normally see?
Yeah.
See, and I think the
Or
only
do
reason
we not understand it?
I was gonna say the only reason one of the only reasons that I think that people believe it to be a problem is because a lot of kids, not all, a lot of kids that have autism or some version of autism have kind of some lacking social skills.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, I don't think there's any version of autism where they're bad academically.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all kind of socially. Well, that's because, they may not understand how our social works,
It might not just make sense to them.
Right. And I mean, and I've said this in the past, my grandma's been trying to figure out how my brain's wired for years because her and I will argue for 10 minutes and we're both saying the same thing. Just I'm saying it my way and she's saying it her way. And we've actually had somebody go, stop. You're saying the same thing. You're agreeing, but you're arguing about it. And then we take a step back and we kind of realize because like I said, my brain's wired a little bit differently, so it has to be worded a certain way or something like that. So that kind of makes a difference too. And like I said, she's been trying to figure out for years how my brain functions so that she could help me with school and all that. Now my best friend knows exactly how I think. He understands it, and he can actually embrace that, and he's one of the reasons that I did so well in high school, is because he would tutor me all the way. He didn't tutor me senior year because he was off in college, but he tutored me all the way up through junior year, and he was able to teach me in a way that I needed to learn, tell me it, and it's something in a way that I needed to hear it, rather than how everybody else was trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how my brain functioned, and he could teach me that way. And there's only a handful of people that can do that. I mean, my girlfriend, she's pretty much, kind of thinks the same way I do. She's, because I'm dyslexic, I have ADHD, and I think she has ADHD. I don't know if she's dyslexic, but she can, she knows how I think. So, like, somebody will be saying something, and I'll have, like, a dumb look on my face.
And deer in the headlights look, I've seen that.
Yeah, and she'll turn to me and tell me, and I'll be like, oh, okay, got it. Because I just, like, the way the words are used, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you just flip, like, 2 words around, and I'm like, got it, okay.
Yeah, homework's for squares anyway, so.
But it was one of those things where, and I even told my best friend, because he wanted to be a teacher, I said, if you ever want to be a special ed teacher and you need a reference, put my name down, because, I don't think there's anybody better to be a reference than somebody who you've taught and,
Right.
was able to get through to.
Right.
And I think he's actually embraced that because when he was student teaching, he actually, one of his favorite set of students were the kids with learning disabilities, including autism and dyslexia and things like that, because it really had to keep him on his toes of how he had to teach everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a class of student, with a giant class, you could teach all of them the same way, and they'll all get it. But there could be that one kid out there who has a learning disability that's gonna like I said, the deers in the headlight look like what? I don't understand. So he had to kind of always keep that in mind. And he said that was the kid that learned the most out of his class and took away the most, and he was able to get that particular student very active in the class.
Right. I think that's why I don't know if you guys know much about Montessori schools, but that's why
I went to one, actually.
I think those are the way we need to be going, where it's more focused on individual education with people mentoring people. And because you got 30 people in a class, the way we do it right now we know doesn't work. I test great, I can ace any test, but I used to refuse to do homework. I almost failed out of high school because I wouldn't do homework, simply on the fact that I need to do this to learn the material. I know the material. I'm not wasting my time. And because of that, I literally almost failed out of high school. Now, when I went to college, I got 4.0 because, I was paying for it. That was different. But when I was going to school, I always had the mentality, the homework is designed to teach me the material. I learn the material by reading it. As soon as I know it, you give me a test and I pass it.
Right.
So why then do I need to go through the middle step if I can go from here to the end?
See,
and understand it.
Now it's funny because the school that I just got done with, it heavily relied on, because it was only a 2-day-a-week program, heavily relied on homework. But the homework that I learned, like the homework I had, was for the lesson I was going to be learning the next day.
Okay.
So I would have a homework talking about what we were going to learn next week, so we could kind of get like a little bit of background information through videos and forums and things like that, and do research. But that gave us the skills to actually research and be able to find and source stuff, like information, and be able to kind of communicate with our fellow classmates. But then we could also watch a video of our instructors made, teaching us a little bit about the background information. So when we jumped in class, we could automatically, jump on an audio mixer and start
and be able to do it.
Mess with it. And so when we were in class, we spent majority of the time actually hands-on. They would, go over a little bit of stuff before, and, that was pretty much just, these are the rules, or this is what you're going to follow today, or things like that. And then we'd jump in and go into the studios and record.
And that's very similar to the way I was. When I was in high school, when I started class, I had already read the chapter or two ahead. So that when I went in, because I learn a lot very well from lectures. So once I sit through and they do a lecture, I usually just get it.
Right.
And so I would go and do the homework and realize, why am I doing this? I understand it. And so I would find I was wasting hours doing homework at night. And then finally in 7th grade, I'm just like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm going to ace the test. And fortunately, I barely passed. And I'm not proud of that. But as a kid going through this education program, I realized this program isn't for everybody.
Well, and then you probably liked what you were learning as well.
Yeah, well, I did. I enjoyed reading it.
And that's the thing, because I went to school for a couple years, and I got grants from the government and whatever, and I did really well. The one problem is I had one quiz per week at home. Like every time there was a class, I had a quiz at home. And I would forget about the quiz because it was the only thing I had online.
You talking about for college or for high school?
For college.
Because I'm talking about high school specifically.
Oh, okay. I was going to say college.
I did my homework for college.
I was going to say I had one quiz, but I
needed my degree.
I just forget to do it because it was the only thing I had to do online.
Right.
But I did really well in the class, and that just barely failed me. And I loved it, but I didn't have really a passion for it. Now I went to Specs, where I just graduated from. And from the moment I walked in the door, I was excited about, the new things that I was getting, because I got a Chromebook, I got, headphones, I got, all this stuff that I thought was really cool. And I got to use equipment, and I was always excited to go to class. There was never a point when I'm like, I gotta go to class,
right,
or anything like that. But because I was very interested, and I did research outside of what I was learning at school.
That's what you learn.
I was gonna say the whole point, or where the show came from, is. So we were going to go into the second marking period, and we were going to be working with microphones and mixers and recording and things like that. And so I'm like, well, I want to have kind of a heads up. So I bought a microphone with a stand and, one little tiny audio mixer and a pop filter. And we're actually using some of that stuff in the show every Monday now. And I bought it, and I set it up, and I just mess around with it. I really didn't know what I was doing. But the more I learned what I was doing, the more I kind of got into it, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start a podcast because I wasn't really doing anything with my equipment anyway. I was just kind of screwing around on my computer and whatnot. And when I hooked it right into my computer, there was a weird delay.
Yeah.
And so I would say
there too.
so I would say something and it'd be really weird because as I'd be saying it, it would kind of have like an echo.
Would your voice slow down
Yes.
as you talk?
Yes. So it was like I was talking like this, and it was really weird. And so then I hooked into the mixer and all that, and I got everything situated. Well, then I moved it downstairs because my desk wasn't big enough. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a friend over, and I set it up a certain way, and I bought another microphone, and I mean, if you listen to the first couple episodes of I ever did, they're very rough, very rough. I mean, there were points when I couldn't find someone to be on the show. The guy who was supposed to be on the show with me almost never showed up, and things like that.
Because it was something that was more serious for you than it was for everybody else.
And he was going to school, and he was, I wanted him to take it seriously, and he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up like every week used to be a struggle to find someone to be on the show with me because there are a couple shows out there where I'm doing it by myself, and I've got to say they were bad.
They're bad. Yeah,
they're bad.
I think I told you that when I was like, dude, I listened to one of your shows and you're the only one on it. It's not as enjoyable as listening to it with other people.
Right. And
because
so
it's a conversation show.
And that's kind of when Mark kind of came on. He was on because I at that point I was kind of starting to get people that could come on about weekly, and then I got about 2 people, so I bought another microphone, and it just kind of kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Now I've got a nice desk and 2 nice desks and all this nice equipment and
I
several
can
monitors.
say the desk is very nice.
Thank you.
I'm honestly, I'm a little bit jelly because
Really
all I
jelly.
have is this big giant 4x8 table that I built together for D&D, and that's about it. No cabinets, no nothing.
But no, I kind of started to get a vision of what I wanted, and then when we were looking for the house, the one thing, because I told my girlfriend and my grandma, I said, you search. I said, all I want is a room or a spot where I can put my broadcasting stuff. That's all I want. And so they were looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. There was this one house where it was very small. And they're like, well, you can put your stuff in this corner. I don't think they realized how big I wanted to go, but I'm like, okay, I'll play along for a little while. And we were looking at this house. It wasn't even that great. Well, we found this one, and my girlfriend's like, oh, it's awesome. There's a basement, or there's a room in the basement where it's huge. You can put all your stuff. And then we've got all these rooms upstairs, and I've got to say, I'm very happy with, the fact that we chose this house, because I do have a nice room down here.
It is nice.
Thank you. And it is finished and things like that.
I won't say grandiose, though.
Okay, not grandiose, just nice.
It's nice. It's very cozy.
But it was one of those things where, I had a passion for it, and like today, I went on the Facebook Marketplace, and I found out, I could get a couple monitors for $5 because one of my monitors is not like the other, and it bugs the crap out of me. And then I bought one, and that one's smaller than the one that I originally have, so I can never win. But yeah, it's just one of those things where anyway, I've kind of digressed a little bit.
You know what? That seems to be the theme of what makes your show good, unique.
Oh yeah.
It's good to have personality.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
and I've also got to be able to reel it back in too at some point.
Really.
No, but like the point you've been trying to make is school right now, we know it's broke, and we need to do something about it. And I was gonna say a problem that I had is there's people who just don't want to be in high school, people who don't want to be there, and those were the people that made it hard for me to learn.
Yeah.
Talking about like teachers or students?
No, students.
Like,
There were students that just did not want to be in school. They didn't want to be there. They had no interest in anything that the teachers were talking about.
who cause trouble so they can get out of class.
Right, they'd cause trouble purposely so they could get out of class. They'd get suspended, and it's like, and the teachers would say this all the time. They'd be like, "Why? We know you don't want to be here, so suck it up because you have to be here. Because just because you don't want to be here doesn't mean that nobody else wants to be here."
We don't want to turn you loose into the public eye without any sort of understanding of the way
and I'm
the
like,
world
I'm
works.
like, okay, well, I really don't like I didn't like the classes. I liked a lot of the teachers. They were fun. I had a lot of really cool teachers. And I'm like, you know what? I have to be here, so let's make the best of it.
Right.
And those are the years, looking back as an adult, those are the years, it was great. You didn't have to worry about what you were doing every day. Every day you got up and you went to school. And then when you got home, it was kind of whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you had the summer to screw around, and then you went back to school. Now every day I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do and what plan I have, and I've got all these other things that I got to do, and none of them fit into a day and all that. And it's like, it was kind of simple when you get to, you go to school, you come home, do homework, hang out with friends for a little bit, and go to bed. Get up and do it again. Then you get the weekends where
I had extra time because I didn't do my homework.
I know you did. I did my homework.
It
Well,
was bad.
I did my homework, but I watched TV while I did it, so it took me a lot longer to do it because I was most of the time I was watching more TV than I was actually doing my homework.
Yeah, I didn't have my own TV, so I couldn't do that, even if I wanted to.
I begged and pleaded, and I finally got one. I didn't get every time something new came out. I got it like 2 years later.
Yeah, my phone's like 2 years old.
Like the Xbox 360, I wanted a PlayStation 2. Wanted a PlayStation 2. Wanted a PlayStation 2. I got a PlayStation. Like the first gray PlayStation.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Good system.
Yeah,
Fantasy 7 was on that bad boy.
It was a great system. I remember Rampage was my
Story.
favorite game to play.
Loved Rampage.
Great game.
Yeah, Vertigo was awesome, man.
And so and I'm like, okay, not what I wanted, but sure, So I played it, and then
Games
I'm
are
like,
cheaper.
okay, I want an Xbox 360. I got a PlayStation 2. I'm like, okay, you're like a few years off. We need to like, jump a year so I can be right on the level of everybody else. And then and that was kind of the consistent how it was throughout my whole kind of high school career. And it wasn't until like I got into college when I started buying my own stuff that I kind of a little bit caught up, but not really.
Well, now you have more electronics than I do.
I'm sorry,
And I'm an IT guy, so I'm just saying.
but I use all of them.
Yeah.
That's true, and that's what's important.
I was gonna say, and it's funny, but the fact that I didn't have everything right, because I had a friend that every time something came out, he was on the waiting list to get one. And he
Is
was
he one of those guys that sits outside of the Apple store waiting for his iPhone?
No, his dad did. Oh no, they were on the
That's terrible.
they were on the list to get it like shipped to their house or whatever.
Yeah. People call me a nerd because I go to cosplay adventure or conventions and dress up and everything. Never in my life have I spent hours in the freezing cold waiting for a phone.
I wouldn't wait for that phone either.
I wouldn't.
Either.
Hate Apple.
Me too.
Well, Apple makes good quality products. Please don't sue us.
Okay.
They
All
make
right.
great good quality products. I just don't own one ever.
Hey, guys.
No. Anyway, kind of off the
Yeah,
way off the path.
I'm gonna reel us back in because Thanksgiving is Thursday.
And I'm thankful for my non-Apple phone.
Me too.
All right, guys. So back to our story. We're reeling it. Riddle later shared video of Caleb saying thanks for the support, gobble gobble gobble, along with his hashtag team gobble gobble. Now, guys, before I get into my next story, I just want to hear what you guys are thankful for. Let's go. Aaron, what are you thankful for?
This studio.
Woo! No. Yeah.
Oh.
Woo! No. Like your.
My puppies.
Yeah.
My
and
puppies.
Your girlfriend and your graduation.
So are we listing off everything we're thankful for? Or just one?
I was
'Cause
gonna say
we're
I
gonna
was
be here
trying
all day.
Right.
Oh no. Okay, what are you thankful for?
I am thankful for my friends, my wife, and my family and my health. My family and my health.
There you go.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm thankful for my baby, which is German Shepherd, and my health and my family. And it's Thanksgiving. Okay.
Not yet. Thursday.
Well, almost.
Almost.
Almost. Not really.
Then Black Friday.
Black Friday. Woo! Gonna go shopping. All right, guys.
I'm watching for deals, man. That new Pokemon game came out, and I haven't I haven't owned a Game Boy since the first one.
I have my Game Boy. It's a little bit waterlogged, so I need to get a new one. But I have my Game Boy Color. It was one of my favorite systems of all time.
Yeah, I got the original Game Boy.
Like the big gray one.
Yeah, and that was I was never too big into it. That's not true. I did end up getting a Game Boy Advance at one time, but the new Pokemon had come out, and I'm super stoked for it, and I think I'm going to finally invest in one of those 3DSs. But I'm sad because I don't want to carry two things the size of this phone around,
It's bigger than that phone.
Yes, I know. That's why I don't want the XL. I just want the small one.
I was gonna say Mark has one, and
It's the XL one. They're huge.
It was funny because I'd look over in class and he had this Pokemon game where he found this cheat where the joystick he could put it was a clothespin in it.
No, it's a paper clip.
No, it was a safety pin. It was a
Oh,
safety
yeah,
pin.
I thought.
Because the game that he was playing a Pokemon game and the guy had to just ride around this island. Well, you just had to push the joystick in one direction and he would just automatically ride around. So he put the safety pin in the joystick, so he would just go around, and when an egg would hatch, it would stop. So then he could pull it out, hatch the egg or whatever, and then put it in and keep going. So he literally evolved almost every single Pokemon he could in the game, and started like training them and evolving them.
I just want to kick other players' butts. That's all.
I was gonna say, but he did that like in a year.
Jeez.
He got every single Pokemon every single version of every Pokemon that he could have in a year, just because he had a little. The
only one I was only able to ever clear the first one completely, catching them all, because my buddy and I both got the opposite ones.
Right.
So we went through and we got every single one we could.
Nice.
So, sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm thankful for Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and every other nerdy thing that's out there.
Dragon Ball Z was good.
Super's pretty cool too.
All right, guys. So, do you guys know CoverGirl?
I know the commercials.
Yeah, it's a makeup brand.
Is that the one with the girls in the lingerie?
No,
that's Victoria's
Secret.
What's CoverGirl?
CoverGirl's
the
like
makeup.
Oh, that's way less cool than the other one.
I know, right?
Well, anyway,
Sorry.
CoverGirl's officially named James Charles as the first ever CoverGirl, aka CoverBoy, which is pretty cool if you ask me.
Who
Absolutely. I just like to say, anything you can do, I can do better.
It's official now. I mean, like, there's a lot of transgendered people out there now, and I think that for a brand, like a company, to make a boy a CoverGirl, I think that's awesome.
I agree.
Cool. Yeah.
And on Tuesday, CoverGirl's ambassador Katy Perry took to Instagram breaking the news that the beauty Behemoth has signed the 17-year-old New York-based makeup artist. Just wrapped another great CoverGirl shoot, honoring to have the pleasure to announce the very first cover boy, James Charles, which is pretty cool if you ask me, because he's only 17, guys, and
I'm happy that they'll let me on now.
No, his makeup looks totally awesome. I wish I could do my makeup as good as him.
He probably didn't do it. He probably
had
professional makeup artist.
He's actually a makeup artist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then that's why he's so good, is because he does it for a living.
Yeah.
I put makeup on once. It didn't go well. It's for Halloween.
Okay. I was gonna say, what was it when you were a kid and you drew all over your face with them?
Guys.
No.
See, look how.
Yeah. It's got the Marilyn Manson look going.
No, he looks more.
That middle picture
scary.
looks like Marilyn Manson minus the eyeshadow. No, I'm not saying that's bad. I love the goth look.
Yeah.
Right. Love the goth look.
I mean,
Fish got stockings, high heels, all of it.
All right. So, Charles, who first began documenting his work on Instagram a year ago and went viral last month following his fierce yearbook shot. Okay, the thing about the yearbook shot is he went on and went just no makeup at all, and then he went back and was like, I'm gonna put makeup on for my yearbook picture, and his senior picture, and it went viral, guys. And his fierce yearbook shot will continue the partnership through the year and the star in CoverGirl's new mascara campaign, So Lashy, which goes live later this month. He quotes, I am so honored and excited to be working with such an iconic brand, he wrote in his personal Instagram. I started my Instagram 1 year ago to inspire others and as an artistic outlet to challenge myself creatively. Creatively. I truly hope that this shows that anyone and everyone can wear makeup and can do anything if you work hard at it. A video posted by the brand from a set of Charles' first commercial shoot, he said, today I am living one of my most biggest dreams. That's right, I am a new CoverGirl. And then he also quotes, I am so honored and excited to be working with such, well, yeah, we already said that, but he, okay, so he started his channel on December 1st, And he has now more than 75,000 followers, and his Instagram staggers from 495,000 followers. So that just shows everybody that we can do anything.
We're doing it wrong, dude. If we need to get makeup put on and take some pictures to get 75,000 followers, man.
You know what's funny?
You have to shave that beard though.
I love the beard.
I think I'm ready to do mine in.
No, you could do some fashion things with your beard. Like put some glitter in it.
No.
Oh, I would look fabulous.
There was this when I was looking up stories for the show today. You know how they've got like articles along the side of things to try to catch your eye? Well, there was one that caught my eye. It was this
advertisements?
No, there was actually other articles on this website, and it said a father who you know how a lot of people have been doing, like, you know, they have like baby pictures and then like of like three brothers, and the three brothers will redo that baby picture like now and
in the future, like 60 years later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this father was doing
Some of those
that.
are funny.
Was kind of doing that with his daughter's racy photos that she was posting.
Oh God.
So he would recreate these and I'm not gonna say like he was not a dude with like pecs and like abs, like he was a pretty big guy, and like there was this one picture of his daughter with like this bandana wrapped around her like
Oh God.
her top portion, and so then there's this
boobs.
dad, so there's this
Can we
dad.
not say boobs on here?
I don't know. Her
I
anyway.
understand not saying tits, but boobs. Really?
You just
Anyway, but so then
Boobs.
he recreated that with a bandana wrapped around his man boobs.
His
And
boobs.
I'm looking through these, and it was one of those where I couldn't help but like keep scrolling through all the different like pictures.
That's so funny.
And
I have to admit, I've been through a similar situation
really,
where this lady was proud that her man took racy photos for
Oh God.
her, but he was not in shape at all. But he was in all these sexy positions, but it was something a girl would do.
Right.
And I went through like 30 of these things, and I don't know why, but every time I saw he was on a bear skid run with his feet tossed up, and I'm just face palming. I'm just like, what's on the next one? And I kept going. And it was probably the same thing that drew you. I was like, I can't stop staring at this.
And there was this one, my favorite one is it was like her boyfriend with his hands around her waist and like his chin on her shoulder, and he had like this, like, it wasn't even really like a mannequin. It didn't have a face on it. It had like his hands around it.
Oh my
It's
God.
funny.
But it was one of those things that it caught my eye, and I just started laughing.
I like stuff
And
like
and
that.
they said it was because he doubled his followers, maybe more, but he got about the same amount that
Wow.
this guy did. But it was just, I'm like, okay, apparently I need to rethink my
Our
life
marketing
goals.
really
Right.
needs to change. I do think it is really cool that a man is on CoverGirl.
Yeah. I think that's
He
awesome.
was clearly easy breezy.
I see what you did there.
He
Yep.
also said,
But
my comment section used to be a mess, to say the least. Now Instagram has added filters. So I've removed the classic hate comments, but people are still managing to get through every once in a while. They really don't bother me. I have thick skin, and I'm definitely not willing to let someone without anything better to do than hate on someone else behind a keyboard get into my head. Our industry has tailored toward women for so long, so I think the only way that men will start becoming more comfortable will be if the stereotypes will be removed. Every guy who is comfortable doing so, however, is setting an amazing example and hopefully inspiring those around him. You know, I think this is pretty cool because for a while, guys just thought like girls were wearing makeup, and now it's like, you know.
I was gonna say there's actors that wear makeup all the time for roles,
yeah, to cover
Well, I
up the
mean-
wrinkles.
and
Well,
and
yeah,
there's
but-
zits and things like that.
But not dramatic, like my eyeshadow. You don't ever see guys wearing wings and
No,
I do.
do you really?
Yeah, I got a
at
friend.
Comic-Con.
No, well, that too, but I got a friend who
That's really cool.
is into that, I guess.
Transgendered.
Something like that. He
Or queer? Not-
well,
that's not
no,
me.
not that, but
But
no, he's married to a woman, but he does occasionally go to work dressed as a woman.
Oh,
Yeah, so kind of like, no, I'm not calling him a queer, but the one definition is queer is when you don't really know, unless he really does know. But I'm not judging.
Well, I did tell him that if I wasn't married, I totally would tap that because he was a good-looking woman. I was like, dude, I gotta admit, you're a beautiful woman.
You know, it was funny. One of my all-time favorite shows, and it's kind of an older one. It's called Diagnosis Murder with Dick Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched an episode today, and he played like 5 parts. Because for those of you that don't know, he played 2 parts in Mary Poppins. He played, what's the guy's name? He plays the chimney sweep, and then he plays the really, really, really old guy at the bank.
Okay, I don't remember.
But he did something like that on the show because he was the main character.
Mm-hmm.
But he played, it was supposed to be like the cousin, like a cousin of his main character. And he played a father, 2 sons, and a daughter. And I looked and I'm like, man, he makes one ugly daughter. Like,
that's funny.
But I mean, you could see like that it was him through all but he had like a lot of makeup on and stuff. And it was funny because there's a lot of people who are becoming transgender now that you're like, okay, yeah, pretty good looking. And then there's others that are, but then you've got like actors and actresses that dress up like women and you're like,
I guess when I look at it, I'm like, who am I to judge someone else's life? I mean, if someone's happy wearing makeup, like a guy, for instance, they're happy wearing makeup, so be it.
I don't judge.
It's like.
And why should it be anybody's business anyway?
Right.
They're not hurting you. They're not affecting you.
Right.
Let them follow our country's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
I was gonna say, for a while ago, the Boy Scouts decided, what was the decision? That they were gonna allow, openly gay Boy Scouts. Because it was something where like there had been a couple, because it was kind of like a don't ask, don't tell type thing for a while. And if it got brought into the light, they were taking away Eagle Awards.
No.
Yeah, there was one point when there was a.
Oh, you got a different faith belief than I do, so we're taking that away. That is horseshit.
Wait, so because now they're accepting.
So now that they're accepting it, so it's kind of, and it was one of those things where they're like.
You're gonna go back and give those people the reward.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask them.
I'm not sure. I didn't get into. All I know is that they're like, okay, well, this is what we've decided. This is what it's going to be. Anybody who has any, like, we're not going to discuss it anymore. Don't make a big deal about it. Anybody who tries to protest, will pull your charter. And I'm going to say there were a few people in my troop who started wearing, like, they were like bands around their uniform where the rank patch goes to protest. And
protest in favor or protest against?
Against.
Oh wow.
And one of the parents went to the board meeting and said, "Listen, this needs to stop because if they're not careful, like it, if the national council gets a hold of this, they will pull our charter."
Oh gosh.
And the head of because it's the our troops committee, and the head at that time was like, the head council member was like, "Yeah, you're right." And they said those were to be taken off, and anybody who was found wearing them was going to be kicked out of the troop. Because it's kind of like that was the decision. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
It's final. So I don't know if I only know of a couple instances that it was taken away in the past, but I don't know if they were given back or what happened. I do know that there was a guy who, in my troop, who got his Eagle, who later, came out to the world, and it's kind of funny because half the comments were like, "Okay, like we knew this already, but good for you." Like it was one of those things, like, and it was somebody that my aunt knew, and my aunt's like, "Okay, good for you, but
good for you.
It's not really news to us." Like. But I was happy that he was able to do that and nothing happened to his.
There was no repercussions.
Right.
Which there shouldn't be. Everyone.
Right. And I think that's why they made the decision to, this is how we're going to be. There's, but they didn't want anybody to make a big deal about it because they didn't feel it should be made a big deal of. This is our decision. Don't protest it.
A great man once said, "Freedom is the right of all sentient beings." Optimus Prime, Transformers.
Nice.
And I think that that's a very true statement.
It is.
Unless you're infringing on my freedoms, I don't care, and nobody should.
No, that's kind of where I'm at. As long as, I can live my life how I want to, you can live your life how you want to. I don't care what you do. You could dress up in a gorilla suit and run around.
Well, I wouldn't do that. You might get shot.
Right.
Poor Harambe.
But, no, but I mean, it's like, what you want to do is what you want to do. I don't care what should be socially acceptable.
Right.
Because
the social norm.
I was going to say again, to me, the normal is only a setting on the washing machine.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. There's no two people that are alike, and there shouldn't be. That's just weird.
Twins.
But they're not even alike.
Fraternal twins, they look like.
It's a guy.
Okay.
Let me see.
Yeah, I could kind of see, yeah.
Oh, wow. He has some great boobs.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
He's jealous that mine are bigger.
I'm
not.
Anyway.
I was gonna say, I give this guy a lot of credit or props, so because he came out, and I mean not really came out, but he's the first ever CoverGirl, and
especially in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of guys who wear drag as well, but to know that he's not even 18 yet, he's not even an adult, and he's already a new face of CoverGirl, like that means a lot to me as well as I think everybody around.
Right.
To know that our world is coming more accepting to what we're trying to accept as well.
Right. We'll see how that goes in the next 4 years, but
We'll be good. They'll be good.
we'll be good. Gotta have faith.
No,
No, that was a good story, Katie. I really I sense a theme throughout like just this individual show. We've got a lot of like faith
Guys.
restoring and humanity type stuff.
Yeah.
So
Did you say guys?
yeah,
No,
a lot of guys.
No, but what I was trying to say before, he was like, whoop. Anyway, but no. No. Okay.
Yes.
No.
Baby.
No.
Yes.
It's just like
Is it?
it makes me happy that a guy can come
Because
in
I'm
and be
happy.
No, it makes me happy for real, guys, though, that
Me
a
too.
guy can be like the new face of CoverGirl, because it's kind of like for the sexist men out there and the sexist women.
There's a lot of us.
That well, yeah, but that not only women can wear makeup now, that men can do it just as good as women. So guys can essentially stay home with the kids now, too.
I am a fan of that. I think that no, not as in me. I like being the breadwinner, but that's my personal thing. But I am all for if it doesn't matter to me who wants to stay home and watch the kids.
Right.
I think that, and your article kind of alludes to it, and kind of get serious for a second, that we have set gender roles
Oh yeah.
over the last hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the last 15, we've started to overcome those gender rules. Women
Oh, yeah.
are now in the workforce. Women are right now fighting for equal pay because they don't get it, despite what we
Try.
try to do.
I didn't really realize that until I'm really just thinking about it.
There was and I might have talked about it on this show. I don't remember, but there was an article that I had read that talked about these two people who worked at the same place and had different starting wages.
Yes, you did.
It
talk
was
about,
on Topic
yes.
Talks, wasn't it?
Yes,
They
it
had
was
two
here.
different starting wages. One was a boy, one was a girl.
Wow.
Everything else was the exact same.
That is so crazy.
Well, it's kind of
Why?
like I think we were.
Well, they got fired for asking that question.
I know, but why? Why should a man get paid more than a girl?
Well,
Or
I had
a woman?
They shouldn't.
I had a friend who actually kind of conducted an experiment when he was in high school because there was this teacher that he swore hated him.
Mm-hmm.
He swore this teacher hated him, and I'm like, oh no, dude, you're just kind of reading into it too much. He's like, no, and he told me what he did. So him and his friend, like, he wrote a paper. He gave a copy of it to his friend that was a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he turned his in first, and then she turned hers in the next day. Okay? 2 identical papers. She got an A, he got an F.
Did he get an F because it was 2 identical papers?
No. Because usually about that they would talk about, like, they would say something like, hey, why did you copy, what happened? Nothing said. There was nothing in the comments. He got an F. There was a whole bunch of markings on it of why it was wrong and, like, things like that. But the girl got an A. And it's like, he confronted her and she didn't really have an answer for it. And he's like, why did I get an F? And I turned mine in before she turned hers in. That was kind of the key. And then, I got an F and he got an A.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's, yeah, it's just one of those things that it's weird. So, I think, Katie, are you good?
Yes.
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 You know what I think it's time for?
Power of the dark side.
And it's time for...
Movie Madness Monday. Movie Madness Monday.
That never gets old.
Did you hear something?
I know.
Oh.
I heard Movie Madness Monday.
Oh.
Oh no, I
Okay.
said that I am Groot in my double voice.
Ah, see, I knew I heard something.
I did have an I Am Groot track, but I took it off because we were done with that episode. I actually customized it anyway. So for Movie Madness Monday today, we're going to be talking about Michael Keaton. Yay!
Yay!
You know who Michael Keaton is, right, Justin?
Yeah, he's Batman.
Oh,
And
really?
Beetlejuice.
He's Batman.
And
I
Beetlejuice.
thought
He's
Batman was
Batman.
Bruce Wayne.
No, Michael Keaton is Bruce Wayne,
Yeah, just kidding.
who's
And
also
Batman.
Batman. But don't tell
Michael
nobody.
Keaton.
Not supposed to know.
Anyway, so Michael
Oh.
Keaton talks about...
And
Cause,
she just Googled his name for the first time.
Shush.
so, you know how Michael Keaton played in Beetlejuice, right?
I do.
Who was he?
Beetlejuice.
He was Beetlejuice.
Wait. Really?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, I'm just making up stuff.
And he was Batman?
Yes.
Yes.
Actors do that.
No, no, no.
They
no,
play
no,
multiple
no.
roles.
No. I know.
Yes.
No, I know that, but that's crazy. Okay, I thought he
Actors
was.
are. It's movie magic.
It is.
It's not actually 2 Michael Keatons, or it's not actually 1 Michael Keaton. It's 2 of them.
Yeah, he's
They cloned him.
right.
It's how they do multiple films.
Anyway, that's my friend. She's here to see her dog, and her boyfriend
Wait,
came down
that's
to
a.
disrupt.
Oh, I was like, that's a boy.
No, she's upstairs. Anyway,
I just thought we were doing the gender bending thing again. I was confused for a second.
No,
I was like, whoa, she looks good.
anyway, so Michael Keaton played. Now that we've established everything he's played,
Mm-hmm.
Which is in more than one thing because he's a movie actor.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is something that they do.
Yep.
Oh my god.
No, it's just me. Calm down.
I see what you did there.
No, anyway, so Michael Keaton, there's been talks about a Beetlejuice 2 for about the past year. And all the fans have been getting excited because it was confirmed that Michael Keaton was going to be on it. And it was also confirmed that Winona Ryder was going to be on it as Linda, so she played in the original movie. And Tim Burton was confirmed that it was green lit, and they were making it and all that. And then they interviewed Michael Keaton, and he's kind of like, this is news to me. Like, he's been one of the people that have kind of been like, let's do a 2.
But nobody kept him in the loop.
Well, it doesn't really seem like it's happening. They don't know where all this news is coming from. But
So are we getting a Beetlejuice movie or not?
I don't know.
Are we
It's kind of in
getting one or
limbo.
not?
Michael Keaton, said that he would love to do it. He actually said he effing loved doing that movie. If I never did another movie, I could point to and say there was never anything like that. So I always said, man, let's do it again. Whoever is in charge has had the opportunity for many years, and they should have just pulled the trigger and done it.
Wow.
But he doesn't believe that they have he doesn't believe that they can really do it anymore.
Mm.
So
Your reading of that quote was so broken up, I thought it was code.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to casually read it. Anyway,
You failed.
I did. Anyway, so he didn't really know that he had signed on for. He's like, yeah, I'll do it, but he didn't really know that he had signed on, and he didn't know that it was actually going to be
So
done.
he probably said, somebody asked him once, he said, yeah, I'd be interested, and then that
well,
was it.
he was one. He said, if you probably look back, he was probably the one that sparked the idea. But there's no time of that. It doesn't even look like it's in production. Tim Burton said that he got the green light, but nothing looks like it's happening. So I'm wondering if it's actually in production, but they don't want to release it yet.
Mm.
So they're trying to cover it up or
I don't know.
something.
This has been a great opportunity for you to play that. Ayo, Dayo.
I don't have that one.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Anyway.
Way to come prepared.
No, but it was weird because I was reading this article and I read another article and I watched it, and it's like there's really no clear answer on whether we're gonna get a Beetlejuice 2.
Well, let's just say if there's a Beetlejuice 2, I will go see it.
Me too.
It was a great
Me
movie.
too.
Now,
Are you sure?
I was gonna say one fear I do have about a Beetlejuice 2 is they're gonna try to replicate that whole scene where they're like day and the dancing scene,
Mhm.
and they're gonna try to do that but with a different song, and it's gonna fail.
Probably.
Because they did that in The Hangover, because they had the song that Ed Helms did.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Okay. He did a song where he
Not
just sat
cool
down
enough.
and played the piano, and it kind of like outlined the story of what was happening.
Mhm.
And it was a very popular song. A lot of people actually bought it off of iTunes and downloaded it as an actual song.
Mhm.
And then they tried to do that in 2, and it just flopped.
Just-
It literally didn't make sense. It was dumb, and it was. So I'm afraid that they're gonna do something like that. Now, what I had heard they were gonna do for a 2 was very stupid.
If they do a 2.
Well, originally when they did right after they got done with the first one, they were talking about doing a 2, and they had a script written up. And what it was, I guess, is that the girl it was all gonna take place in Hawaii.
Oh.
And the same
Aloha.
couple was going to try to build a resort on this piece of land, and there were all these Hawaiian ghosts that didn't want that to happen, so then they called upon Beetlejuice, and it was kind of like an outline of the same movie just in Hawaii.
Oh.
That would have been dumb.
I think so too. So
There
we
was
don't.
a cartoon of Beetlejuice once.
There was.
I liked it.
It was. It
but
was
I don't remember
great.
it.
But I don't know. Do you guys have that fear of
No.
some things that are coming up in
I feel like
as sequels?
yeah.
I had that entire fear for every single Marvel sequel. So
And scary movies should not be made into a sequel.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like scary movies are just.
It
the
was
same.
funny the first time. It wasn't funny the second time.
Yeah. And
I
then
was
it's
gonna
like
say you
they
could
try
just
to do the same thing.
Kind
and
of
it's
keep
just-
going, and it's the same movie, just different actors and actresses.
Or the animation, like in Insidious, just gets a lot more crappier. Each
I
movie.
haven't seen Insidious.
Me
They
either.
have like 3 of them now, and it just keeps getting crappier each time.
Well, it's kind of like what about remakes? Because I know that they remade RoboCop,
No.
and I heard that wasn't really that good.
I liked RoboCop, but they shouldn't do that. People are running out of their own damn ideas. Leave it as is. Come up with a new idea.
See, now one thing that I do like, so the new Jumanji that's coming out. Okay, have
shoot
you
me now.
actually heard about it?
No, but
So what happened was, or what they're doing, is instead of copying the movie like it was, they're basically taking it from a different angle with different characters.
so
From
it's
what?
going to be Jumanji.
Well,
Somebody's going to find the board game. They're going to have to go through a bunch
no,
of
no,
crap.
no. That's not what I think it is. Because I haven't heard an actual concept for the movie, but what it sounds like and looks like is people are actually going to get trapped inside the game. But you remember how Robin Williams' character got trapped inside the game. They jumped a few years and then he got let out.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like they're going to get trapped inside the game, and that's where the movie's going to take place.
that would be cool. You could do a lot with that.
I think that's where they're going with it, because because The Rock is in it, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's in it, and he said that they were going to try to honor Robin Williams' character.
So
but
maybe there'll be somebody who comes out and runs them. What year is it?
maybe,
That'd be
but
cool.
I think that something like that would be really cool because it's a different take on the same idea. So yes, you have the board game. Yes, somebody would start playing it in the beginning. That has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens after that, there's so many different ideas. Like I said, how cool would it be if they, everybody who's playing it tries to cheat and gets trapped inside the game, and then the whole movie is them trying to find their way out.
Even though we know they can't. Even though we know they can't, right?
Right.
Because they can't get out unless somebody rolls a 5 or an 8, I think.
I was going to say, but, I mean, how cool of a movie would that be?
I would go see it, probably.
Like, kind of jumping inside the life of the board game.
Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of remakes. I got over that when they made Spider-Man 3 times.
Right. Now, Ghostbusters, the only reason I like that movie is because of the cameos that were in it. I've said that before.
That was hilarious.
It was a great movie. But without the cameos, I feel like it would have sucked.
I think the ladies did a good job. It was really funny.
No, I mean, they did a good job. There was one scene that to this day, I hate. It was the scene in the end, spoiler alert, they're like in the portal thing, and it looks like they're standing in front of a green screen, walking. Like they're just like lifting their legs up, and you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
It was a very dumb scene. It was poorly done, and I feel like it was not even
The
needed.
scenes with the ghosts wasn't even the thing that I thought made the movie good. I just liked all the scenes with the girls interacting each other.
Oh yeah,
Their personalities were so different.
See, and that was good. The plot line kind of sucked.
All the plot lines for all the Ghostbusters sucked.
Hey, I love the original too.
I love them, don't get me wrong, but they weren't good plots. I'm
But-
the gate, or what is it? I'm the key master. Are you the gatekeeper?
But it was funny.
Right, and so was this one. The stories weren't good. When you watch them again, the stories, they suck. A painting comes to life and tries to make people evil. That's
I
not
don't
a
know.
good plot.
My favorite one is when they took they hijacked the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, that was all right. Starts walking around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play music and it starts walking around.
Yeah. There's that one, and then you got the Stay Puft Man?
State Puff Marshmallow Man.
They're fighting a giant marshmallow man.
The bell tire guy.
He kind
That's
of
what he looks like.
did look like the bell tire guy.
Bell tire.
Bell
Um,
tire.
No, anyway, but the cameos for me is what made the movie
Well, that's fine.
because they
Those
had
were good.
almost the entire original Ghostbusters cast,
Yep. Everyone who's still alive, at least.
including the one that has passed away.
He was in there? I don't remember.
There was a bust of his head.
What?
There was a what?
A bust. You know, like the bust. It's got it's like a carving of the head and just the shoulders.
Oh,
It's like a
yeah.
little. Yeah,
Didn't know
they
that.
had a bust of his head in the movie when they were in the office. Like when the girl went to her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was in
I
there.
do remember. Huh. I overlooked that.
I overlooked it. Somebody had to point it out to me. And then at the end they said in honor of.
Yeah. I did love that their weapons blew shit up.
That was
That
pretty
was
cool.
awesome.
That was pretty cool.
I was like, how come their weapons never hurt anything?
They hurt each other if they crossed the streams.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is BS. Why would you say don't do it and then use it as a final ultimate weapon? Because it has a chance to destroy the planet? Or a
It
multiverse?
worked though, didn't it?
Yeah, but you can't say the whole time how bad it is and then use it.
It did blow them up.
So then why would you ever not do it again to solve your problems? Oh, wait, they did. Three
Anyway.
times, I think. Guess
So-
the odds of explosion are pretty low.
No, I feel like actual remakes are bad, but I feel like if they do kind of a sequel, because they had Jumanji and then they had like that other kind of crappy movie that was about a board game or something, Zarethra or whatever.
Zathura?
Yes,
They were both books
were they?
made by the same person,
Anyway,
which is why the concepts are exactly the same.
but I mean that didn't do as well as Jumanji did.
Because Robin Williams wasn't in that one.
Well, there was that too.
That's all there was. Who was the female actor? Yeah, see?
What I'm saying though is like
Bored over there?
people have wanted like an actual sequel with the game Jumanji, not another movie with the same concept with
Right.
different actors and actresses. So that's kind of why I'm excited for Jumanji, because it's not supposed to be the same exact thing that it was before. It's supposed to be kind of, it's the same game, different take.
Yeah, if they do it, I hope that if you're right and they do go in the world, that you get to see what that was like. And it's as big a deal because, I mean, all the stuff that came out of that, it's got to be, I envision some sort of tropical rainforest type thing. But
Well, and then it's kind of like, have you ever seen Journey 2?
No.
They had because originally they had Journey to the Center of the Earth, which I went back and watched, and it was really cool. Then they had Journey to the Mysterious Island with The Rock in it, and that was pretty cool because it was kind of like they ended up on this island, and it was rainforest type thing, but they had like giant creatures in our world that are huge were tiny, and then creatures that were small, so they had like huge bugs that they would ride, like they had bees that they rode on.
I saw that.
But that was kind of a cool concept to me because they were like riding on the bees and everything that's supposed to be really big, like sharks. Sharks were like the size of tadpoles. So it was a cool concept because everything was kind of backwards. So I'm kind of hoping that's somewhat what Jumanji would be like.
Thank you for that.
What?
You just gave me a D&D concept. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
You're welcome.
That'd be kind
I'm
of
totally
scary.
stealing that.
So like worms would be huge.
Worms would be huge.
Because
Snakes,
worms
too.
are like the scariest things on the earth.
I'm
Snakes
sorry,
are
what?
Worms are scary to me.
Worms are scary.
Yeah.
I'm
You
glad
ever been fishing?
Yeah, I go all the time,
You
but
impale those bad boys?
I don't.
How
I do.
terrifying are them as you're shoving a
don't-
hook up their butts
I don't touch
and
them.
up their mouths?
I really don't touch them.
Then you have not really gone fishing.
But I mean, I degut fish. I'm just scared.
How can
of
you
worms.
gut a fish and
Yeah.
not?
Okay, because
Probably the same reason women can pour boiling hot wax on their upper thigh, rip the hair out by the roots, and still be afraid of a spider.
Well, no, because listen, worms you can't tell which way is the head or the butt. Okay.
It doesn't matter. I'm sticking a hook in one end.
It's going in one end and coming out the other. I don't think the worm cares.
Yeah, but.
Well, I think he cares. I just.
I got an email. He
So
doesn't.
that's why it scares me, is because they don't have any faces. See, if they had like eyes, like spiders, I'm not scared of spiders. But like worms, yeah, no.
Anyway, reeling it back in. So there's kind of really, I couldn't find a judgment on whether we were going to have a Beetlejuice 1 or like 2. And it kind of worries me because I would really like to see that movie. But there's not really.
Let's move on to the next one.
I'm working on it. And then, finally, Justice League.
Yes.
Yes.
We've been covering Justice League a lot, who's going to be
We
in it, who's
have.
not. Apparently, there's going to be someone from the Green Lantern Corps, but we don't know who.
It's going to suck.
Why?
I am the biggest comic book fan in the world. I love comic books. I love stories. I love all of it. I love Justice League. There is nothing that has come out made by DC in the theaters that has given me any confidence that it's not going to suck.
Hey, what about TV shows like
Okay,
animated
CWs,
series?
the CWs and the animated shows are awesome.
I
Why they can make all that great and not the movies?
I
don't
just
know.
finished the animated or Justice League the animated series.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
Great.
It's awesome.
And
If you haven't seen it, it's on
think
Netflix. It's fantastic.
I think my favorite part was the intro was so like grand and the animation was great, and then you actually get to the show and the animation's kind of dumbed down a little bit.
Yeah, because the intro was CG.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then the TV show was just all animation.
But it was still really good for its time, and the story was really, really good. But
I would go and watch it again.
I'm gonna go see it. Don't get me wrong. I'll probably go see it a couple times because I do that
See,
with all the hero movies that have come out.
That's what I was hoping they would do with the Justice League, is they would kind of take from the animated series and make a movie into it using those concepts that they had.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That'd be really cool. But then they had to go in and throw Aquaman in it, who's not a superhero.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not.
What's his powers?
He doesn't have any.
Yes, he does.
He's just the king of Atlantis.
He's got powers.
Well, until you get him out of water,
No, he's got powers.
then he's like a fish.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think he's still one of the weakest heroes, but he's definitely
I think he's a pointless superhero.
from what I understand, his telepathy is used on fish, but isn't limited to fish, and his skin is impenetrable to withstand the pressure of
Now,
the sea.
I will say,
And he's super strong.
the animated series made him look pretty cool. But
Because
even,
they used his actual powers, which is like the impenetrable skin and the
but
super strength and
in
stuff.
there, he was never really a part of the Justice League, which that's another part that kind of irritates me. Is he was like, as far as I know, which I haven't read comic books. I've tried to get into it. I just haven't had the time to go and buy comic books to read them.
Keeps
but
everybody fed.
I was gonna say, as far as I know, he's never been a part of the Justice League. So why are they putting
He
him?
is.
Is he?
Yeah, he's been part of the Justice League. He's been on. I think the most common thing he was a part of is the Super Friends. He was always in the Super Friends.
See,
For his to contact fish.
No, I just feel like that they should, because the animated series was so popular and obviously is popular because it's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have went that route. Had all those people like John the Martian. The
Are you kidding me? John the Martian?
It was what's his name?
Martian Manhunter?
Yes, his name was John.
John, but no, dude, never mind.
The Martian Manhunter. Anyway, I feel like he should be in there. I don't know if he is or
You know
not.
he has a last name too, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
John Jones.
Jones, that's what it was. Okay. What?
She's looking at Aquaman.
No.
Why are you looking
Looks-
at
looks
Aquaman?
naked.
No.
Yes.
I messed up the screen, okay? It's okay.
How'd you mess
It's
up?
fine. It's okay. I'm not
Okay.
looking
It's
at
like
it.
13 pages now. Okay.
No problem. It's okay.
Okay.
Anyways, so I am excited for it. I am concerned that it's going to suck. But I don't know that till I watch it.
Now, the question I have for you, Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart?
I like them both because they got two different personalities.
But which one would you want to see in the Justice League?
I would say Hal Jordan because he can be a real dick. And Jon Stewart is really all lawful good type guy, paladin guy, and I was never a fan of that as much.
I loved him in the animated series because, like
a paladin. Ain't no good.
I was going to say because the Flash would always be so cocky, and then he would, Jon Stewart would be like, pull your head out of your butt. Like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Real down to earth.
Very
Get it?
cer-
Down
like-
to earth, even though he's not.
Yeah. Very sarcastic, and that's kind of what I like.
There's a
about him.
Green Lantern movie you should watch. Not the movie with
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. I wouldn't put anybody through that torture. Not
Hey,
even my worst
I
enemy.
like the movie, but it's probably just.
But
because
there's an
my favorite
actual
one
called
is-
the Emerald something. There's one on Netflix. You should watch it. It's really good, and he's
Is it?
got that personality, but it's all Hal Jordan.
Is it?
It is really cool, yeah.
Anyway,
I do hope that they pull to the Lantern Corps. I'm waiting for it to show up on the CW, man.
I was gonna say I want to see Jon Stewart because they did a Hal Jordan and it, like everybody says, it sucks. I liked it because Green Lantern's my favorite superhero,
Mm-hmm.
and the Jon Stewart version is my actual favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like the concept. I was happy that they finally did a Green Lantern movie, although it
Yeah, I
sucked.
mean, I liked it, but it sucked.
Right. We just all agree that
DC sucks at making movies.
yes.
That's the real problem. It's not the actor's fault. It's the writer's fault.
Well, and I think I brought that up before. Like everybody's blaming Ryan Reynolds, and it's like
Not
it's
his
not
fault.
his fault.
He did a good job acting.
Right. And I mean, the suit looked pretty cool. It was stupid that he didn't know what it looked like, but that was another problem.
He didn't know what his suit looked like.
He didn't know what it looked like until the movie came out.
Wow, that's.
He just because he wore a green screen suit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he wore throughout the movie. I'm like, I feel like you should have, kind of, because they have the ability to get a picture of what his suit's gonna look like before the movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You need to develop that and have it for him because that will help him be a better actor.
Yeah.
Because if he can see what he's gonna be wearing, or if
He probably said, "You guys, this is a stupid idea. Give me a real suit." That would have solved some of the problems.
Well, see, and he made fun of that in Deadpool too.
Yes, he did. He did.
So
There was a couple different nudges to that, but I'm excited for the Justice League. I will go see it. I'm really excited to see what they do with the Flash.
me too.
They went a different route with him, so we'll see.
Like I said, I really wanted them to go to the same route that they did with the animated series because I really wanted like a cocky Flash that, you know what I mean? I love that that version of him because it was like
You watch the CW Flash?
I
It's really good.
don't. Is
You
it?
should. It's really good.
I don't have
awesome.
time to watch anything, or else I would.
You should.
I'll try.
Should.
Anyway, so what do you guys think about the new Justice League that's coming out? What superheroes did you want to see in it? Who do you want to see from the Green Lantern Corps? Let us know on the Topic Talks Facebook page. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to have me.
To have me.
Speaking about being cocky and getting too full of himself over there.
I'm not getting too
Just 'cause
full.
I
I've been
have
there for
one.
a long time.
So you guys can always contact us through the Topic Talks Facebook page. If there's any topics you would like us to talk about, you can submit them. You can personal message me. You can post them on the page. Even though Mark's not here, you can message him. Katie probably doesn't care if you message her on Facebook.
Woo! Yeah, message me.
But just kind of let us know what you're into, what you want to hear. Do you like Katie's segment? Do you like Movie Madness Monday? Do you like Mark's segment when he's here? Do you like when Justin's on the show? I mean, if you like when Justin's on the show, if we can get his butt over here every week, he might start being permanently on the show.
Woo!
Maybe.
But just let us know what you think.
Kind of felt like chopped liver for a second.
Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. You guys got anything to say?
Yeah, feel free to visit us at the Crit Academy on Twitter or Facebook, or email us at critacademy@gmail.com.
Right. I will post a link to that on the Facebook page right when we get done.
I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and eat a lot of food. And, woo! Happy Thanksgiving, Pilgrim.
I am going to tear into that turkey like a dead carcass being attacked by a ravenous wolf.
I'm going to come home and find whatever's in my fridge and eat that.
I'm going to cook some chicken. Some chicken.
Cook chicken on Turkey Day.
I don't really like turkey, so it's going to have to be chicken.
Okay, guys. Well,
Devastation.
I'm Aaron Klingersmith.
I'm Katie Kellyan.
I'm Justin Hanlon.
Signing off.